Guest now. Our next guest is a former Australian ballroom dancing champion.
Yeah.
Look at this, Bob.
Oh,
Look at this.
Oh, look at that. Tiptoeing in. Oh.
That's better than John Travolta.
Fred Astaire.
Fred
I don't know
Astaire.
about Fred Astaire. Fred Astaire. Oh.
Magnificent. Well done.
Twinkle Toes.
Twinkle Toes. Laurie Dwyer.
Oh,
Magnificent.
Laurie.
Laurie, take a seat. And welcome to Grumpy Old Men.
Now, how long is it since you've been doing like the light fantastic like that?
Well, last night my wife said, dance, Laurie, and I said, how high do I jump? And that was the last one. Other than that, I haven't done it for years, Bob.
You don't go to old-time dances or anything like that now?
No, don't dance at all.
Did you learn as a little boy to do that puncing around,
yes.
as that lady said?
Actually, I did because...
Look at that wonderful photograph there of Laurie.
That's
Where
my
was that
cousin,
taken, Laurie?
My cousin Bonnie. It was in the paper, one of the championships, I guess, with the Moomba or the...
Yeah.
One of the Moomba or the Australasian, I'm not sure. But anyway, to answer your question, Bob, I learned in the country. I came from a little place called Murchison up near Shepparton.
Yes.
And we go to the dances. After you got our napkins, you went to dances. And there was always a few old girls up there that couldn't get a dance, so they'd ask the young ones. And then I went from there. My mates went to the learn to dance classes because all the good sorts were up there. And I tagged along and ended up doing my medals. And I went from there. I started dancing. And then we got to, I was playing as an amateur because of my dancing and athletics. And the next step was into professional dancing because we'd reached the open amateur, as they call it. And it just would have taken up too much time, so I gave it away.
How high did you get to?
Well, we got to open amateur, and that's
But did you win the Australian Championship?
we won the Australasian.
Did you go international?
No, we didn't.
We just say that on Grumpy Old Men.
Oh, yeah.
What about playing footy, Laurie? Did you cut much crap from the opposition? They give you a bit of a cook when they
funny,
ballroom
Dougie,
dancing.
that you're here, but at Footscray, you know, people say, you didn't answer me when I sang out to you and all that stuff because your concentration, you didn't hear people. But this particular day at Footscray, they kept saying to me, come on, Twinkles, give us a dance. Come on, Twinkles, give us a dance. And this went on for nearly half a quarter. So I thought, I've got to stop this. So I turned around and did a soft shoe shuffle. And then they stopped. But, you know, obviously we're going to keep it up, so that nipped that in the bud. That's the only time I can remember.
If we wanted to be nice, we used to say you used to waltz through the opposition all the time, didn't you, Laurie?
Yeah, well, yes, I suppose that was my forte to get through because at my size, if I couldn't go straight, I had to go around.
Do they wear the same gear in those days they do now? The ballroom dancing?
Oh, God, the girls of today, they really spruce up, don't they?
Did you have to wear an athletic support as a ballroom dancer?
No, I can't remember. I don't think I needed it those days, and I still don't need it either.
Did it help your footy, Laurie? Being light on your feet as a wingman yourself? And
I think for your balance. I think it does help your balance. I think all the training I did at Murchison as a kid on my own probably helped me with my ball handling and that, but I think the balance of dancing because you're up on your toes and things like that.
Laurie, you nearly won the Brownlow medal on 3 occasions. Twice you were runners-up, beaten by 2 votes. On the other occasion you finished 3rd. But your AFL career, you retired like twice during your career. You'd be out of the game for a couple of years. You'd come back and nearly win the Brownlow medal, then you'd be out of the game again, come back, nearly win the Brownlow medal again. Why was that?
Yeah, well, I had a crook back and they put me in the Austin hospital for some months on a Braddock frame just because I thought I was getting curvature of the spine. And I stayed in there for some months and I missed that year and came back and I got 2nd, I think, in the medal that next year. Then eventually they took the disc out and so I
Which would have been a big operation in those days.
Well, it was, yeah. I thought that was the finish for me and anyway, I was able to come back the next year, but I remember my first practice game thinking if someone knocks me in the back, I'm liable to split in half, but that wasn't the case. Once I got out there, I was right. And I finished 2nd in the medal, so every year I had off, I came back and I was able to
You had a very tough back line in your days, Laurie, didn't you?
Probably just before my time. Are you thinking of Teddy Gerrard?
Teddy Gerrard and
Dodger
Nick and
Ryan.
Pat
Kelly,
Kelly and those
yeah.
fellas.
Yes, they were.
They were just before you, were they?
Yeah, I used to go and watch them, and they were very.
I was going to say, if Teddy Gerrard ran into your back, you'd have a bit of trouble.
But your evasive skills obviously caught the eye of St George, who were the great rugby league town. I mean, Mark McClure came from Sydney, so he knows all about St George because they actually asked you to come up. They wanted you to play rugby league.
I went up there. I must have been mad when I think back because,
Absolutely mad.
because the fella that picked me up must have had a magnifying glass because I was 5 foot about 7, I think, and about not even 10 stone. So what he saw in me, I don't know, but the offer was so great that I thought, oh, I've got to go and have a look at this. So I went up there and I thought I was going up there for a couple of weeks to do some training because I knew nothing about, I thought I knew one rule and I was wrong, about rugby. So I get there and there's a fella named, I forget this guy's name, but they had a testimonial. So I went and watched this particular game on the Thursday night, and all I saw was fellas being pole driven into the ground, carried off, and thought,
good for
God,
your
what am I
health.
doing up here? Anyway, on the Friday I went down and with a fella named Johnny Raper, who taught me how to tackle and play the ball and do these things. Saturday they ring me up and said, about coming to a game. I said, oh yeah, and they said, bring your gear. I said, bring my gear, why? He said, just in case. I said, in case of what? So I took my gear along and sure enough we're playing Western Suburbs. And I walked out and I looked, they seemed to line up opposite and my eyes were focused up there and they looked to be about 6'5", 6'6" and about 15 stone every one, and I thought, if one of those fellas catch hold of me, they're going to throw me over the next fence. So I played the game and got through it, did all the wrong things, ran past for a handball instead of going back behind and all. The siren went or the bell went, I thought, thank God for that, I'm off. So I started off the ground, but they kicked it over my head. I thought, this screaming out to me, I thought, I must have to get the ball. So I thought, if I get to the centre of the ground, maybe that's it. So I got past a couple and got to the centre of the ground. And I looked down, they're still chasing me. So I thought, I can't get to the other end. So I slowed down and this big fella tackled me and put me a foot over my neck, over the top here and snapped. So I went off the ground and then I started to take the things off and took the scabs off from the day before because I had these shoulder pads off. And they said, no, don't get stripped. You're in the next game. The next game was the number 1 game. Great. He didn't play Gasnier, Clay and all those fellas. Oh, I didn't know, but I know their names now. And you're playing 5/8, which is, I suppose, like a rover here. And I thought, I'm out of here. But I couldn't walk anyway.
Well, you survived, that's the main thing,
So I got
Laurie.
through, yes.
And thanks for joining us on Grumpy Old Men, one of the greats of AFL football, and of course the first ballroom dancing champion we've had on Grumpy Old Men, and of course the Mark McClure, probably the first guy ever to come down from Sydney to play AFL football. Mark, thanks for joining us
Thank you very
also.
much.
And we look forward to your company next week on Grumpy Old Men when we have 2 more greats of AFL football.